everybody. You're at WordHack at Wonderville on a Thursday night. Make some noise with your hands and faces. Oh, what's up, everybody? It's so good to be here. It's good to see you. Hey, my name's Todd Anderson. I'm going to be your host this evening, and welcome to WordHack. WordHack, if this is your first time here or your second time here, your third time here, either way, it's a monthly show we run here at Wonderville. It's a language and technology themed show. We've been running for 9 years at this point, and we get together every month, and we have some talks, some performances, some presentations, all kind of around the idea of language and technology. So how computers, game engines, phones, all different sorts of technology can change the way we read and write and think about language, communicate with words. I'm really out of breath from how long and hard I screamed, and I'm trying to keep the flow going, but I am at the end of my 6-minute mile right now. Okay, just gonna slow it down a little bit and pace out the rest of the intro vamp and just stay up here. Cool. Great. It's great to have all of you here. We have an amazing set of presenters for you this evening. We're going to be joined by Jordan Magnuson, the Park staff, and Sarah Rothberg. Give it up for your featured presenters. And at the start of every WordHack, we have a tradition here, which is the open projector. My background is in poetry, in slam poetry, if you would believe it. Can you look at me and picture it? You can. And in the oft ridiculed 2011s, I was floating around different New York City venues. It was really beneficial as a fresh from the Midwest little white boy to just come to a venue and be able to put my name on a sheet of paper and not have to be cool or know anyone or do anything special in order to be able to share a poem with a room full of people. And that was really important and valuable to me because I don't know if I would have continued to write poetry if I had to know someone or had to have someone think I was cool in order to share it. And I think there can be a lot of barriers when you're making a digital project, or especially when you're making something that doesn't already have an existing publication structure, which I think a lot of the things we do here don't have a really easy place to submit a thing and share it and join it. And so our open projector here at the top of the show, we have a little sign up sheet up front, is a place where members of our community can come up, share something on stage for 5 minutes, and get some feedback from you. Get to know some people. Get to share what you're working on, what you're thinking about, and really become part of the community. A lot of the people that come up here and are featured presenters are people who have presented at an open projector at some time in the past. A lot of our featured presenters go on to present at an open projector in the future. It's kind of an ongoing sort of way we maintain our community here. I also want to give a shout out before I roll into the open projector to our live stream audience on twitch.tv. Shouts out to Escape Character, Toasted Tendies, Photon Pig, and Listless NPC. Oh, and in the scales, it's great to see you. I see most of the conversation is around the lack of audio on stream, but what's up, Jetson Live? It appears the lack of audio has been fixed because I am being reacted to live in real time. I don't know. So if anyone else is up here later, you can see our cool internet audience over here on this little monitor. You're gonna have to have really perfect 20/20 vision like me, though, if you want to really get the latest. We are very cool, says Escape Character. This could be you. We're gonna start with the open projector in a moment here. And speaking of featured presenters returning to share new work on the open projector, we have a many times featured WordHack presenter and esteemed member of our community. Please give it up for Nick Montfort to start off the open projector.
No sound. Sound coming from me, but not from me.
We have a seated setup, no chair.
Something happened.
It's no different from the chairs any of you are sitting on. It's the perfect crime, really.
A lion has been in trouble for a long time. A dog steals something that belongs to the lion. The hero lion kills the villain dog without a fight. The hero lion thus is able to get his possessions back. This curious text was generated in 1963 by Joseph Grimes, a linguist working at UNAM in Mexico City. And we only know about it from this, oh goodness, we don't know about it at all unless you're looking at my computer, because I'm not presenting this on the right display. Just a moment. All right. Let's see if that made things worse. No, it didn't. All right. What you were seeing was a picture of a library in Mexico City, although that library was not there when Joseph Grimes was in 1963. We only know about his story-generating system because of this one-page article in Business Machines from May 1963, like a marketing publication of IBM. They were going to take some photographs of their computer that was installed there at UNAM, and the photographer, I think, was like, holy shit, there's a guy using some computer stuff to talk to some indigenous people in traditional dress. I better take some photographs of this and find out what's going on. And as a result, we learned some about this project to generate stories, which Joseph Grimes was doing to find out if stories of this sort, this traditional sort, this Propian, Lakovian sort of formal grammars of stories, were universal. Were they things that people in different languages from different cultural traditions, Mexico has hundreds of indigenous languages, would understand? And so what I've done is I've created a speculative re-implementation of Grimes' Storyteller with almost no information, because there's only one example of a generated story, and there's a one-page, not even a journal article, just like a public, sort of publicity marketing sort of article about what he was doing. But based on that, I've tried to take a guess about like what type of generative grammar he would have produced, how would he be talking with people, and this is what I came up with. Again, a lion has been in trouble for a long time. A dog sees something, steals something that belongs to the lion. The hero lion kills the villain dog without a fight. The hero lion thus is able to get his possession back. A bear worries constantly about water quality. A snake writes a completely uninformed think piece that deeply insults the bear. The hero bear doxes the villain. A puma has been having issues with work-life balance. A fox plays incessant TikTok videos that severely annoy the puma. The hero Puma overwhelms the inbox of the villain Fox using sock puppets. The Puma finally finds peace. A lion is off his game. A leopard zoom bombs the lion. The hero lion rips the villain leopard a new one. The hero lion is thus able to continue directing online icebreaker and team building activities. A bear has been in trouble for a long time. A snake steals something that belongs to the bear. The hero bear overwhelms the inbox of the villain snake using sock puppets. The hero bear is thus able to get his possession back. Grimes was picky about what he selected, so I'm going to do the same. A capybara can't seem to sit still. A toucan zoom bombs the capybara. A puma has been in trouble for a long time. A coyote creates an embarrassing meme using a photo of the puma. A puma can't seem to sit still. An iguana plays incessant TikTok videos that severely annoy the puma. A lion has been in trouble for a long time. A puma is off his game. A fox zoom bombs the puma. The hero puma rips the villain fox a new one. The hero puma is thus able to continue directing online icebreaker and team building activities. A capybara has been in trouble for a long time. An armadillo zoom bombs the capybara. A capybara is off his game. An armadillo invents a new cryptocurrency and dupes the capybara. The hero capybara overwhelms the inbox of the villain armadillo using sock puppets. The hero capybara thus is able to double down on GME. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. Up next on the open projector, give it up for Quinlan.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone's gonna have to stand. It's the only fair option.
Oh shit, thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I forgot about this like situation with my like slide deck. So let me right. I can hold it.
I got this.
Thanks, Todd. Thank you. Nice and short. Okay, sick. Hey everyone. So I'm just gonna share a little bit of this conceptual experimental art project that I'm doing, which has less to do with language, but it lives online, so I thought maybe this would be a good place to share it. So it's called Wages for Artwork, and it's a participatory art project that compensates people for their creative time. It also explores experimental forms of patronage, as well as what it means to use time creatively. So how it works, it's been going on for a few months now, but basically during the hours that I'm working a job, so I'm a UX designer, that's my day job, participants are invited to book an hour-long session to work alongside me. They can use that hour to make art, write, sleep, cook, take a walk, call a friend, really kind of anything that by definition is like creatively generative for them. And then at the end of the session, participants are compensated for this time at the rate of 50% of my hourly wage. So right now that's around like $25 to $30 an hour. So that's the amount that they get. Participants are then asked to share a snapshot of their creative time, which is collected into the project's digital archive. So speaking of, the website is wagesforart.com. It's currently live. I built it on Cargo Collective, which is not exciting, but I am a terrible developer / coder. So it's live now. And I just wanted to share some examples of what people have been doing with their creative time. So Paul in Brooklyn drew some pictures of fingers and cut some wood. My friend Ellie in Seattle used the hour to put up a free portrait kind of stand out just on the street and did free portraits for people. Alex in upstate New York built a fire creatively. My friend Mira practiced some violin, kind of traditional Irish music. Moises wrote a poem. Gabon San Juan wrote this kind of like, just kind of like alphabetic, like poem / art piece. Two friends of mine who participated called each other and just talked to each other for an hour, which was kind of cool. We did a creative collective co-working session as part of this project at the Interference Archive in June, where everyone kind of hopped on Zoom or in person, and we all did a paid creative hour together. And so people like did all kinds of things, like they made music, they cooked food, they cleaned their studio, they called each other, made like block prints. It was really cool. So why am I doing this project? I make artwork about work. And this is kind of a way to like make art while I'm at my job. I think everyone should have access to creative time, just like kind of point blank, and compensation is a way to kind of open up space for that. I'm interested in socially engaged art projects that redistribute resources, again, as like a form of patronage, because this kind of came out of seeing my artist friends struggle, not being able to make enough, particularly to live here. Whereas I made enough as a tech worker to support my practice, so I wanted to basically just support my friends as an art project. And then curiosity, I was like curious about what people would do with kind of an unstructured, paid creative hour. So the future, I'm sharing this because I'm relaunching it tomorrow, because I lost my job for a couple months and then I got a new job, so like this project had to go on pause because there was just no wage. So I'm starting up a newsletter. You can go to the website, wagesforart.com, and sign up for the newsletter, and then sign up for a session if you want to do this with me. It's all asynchronous, so like we don't go on a Zoom together or anything. Like it's like you're doing your creative stuff wherever you are in the world, and I'm doing an hour of my job. So yeah, and then the plan is to expand this into a platform for other workers, particularly other high earners, to sponsor their own creative sessions. And I'm going to be doing that at ITP with their fellowship next year. And we're hopefully going to do more events, like once I get my annual bonus. And yeah, so check out the website, or if you have questions, like I'll be around. Thanks.
That's an amazing project. Thanks for sharing that, Quinlan. Up next on the Open Projector, we have returning Open Projector stars, Maury and Alex. Give it up for Maury and Alex. Oh, and chair donators, local heroes.
Sort of a BYOC situation. The C is the chair. So I'm Alex. This is Maury. Maury's just getting set up for a moment. And we make internet. The last time we were here a couple months ago, we piped ChatGPT output into an audio, text to speech, and then we had it kind of kill Maury on stage. This is the opposite of that. Oh yes, hello Twitch.tv. So I'm not going to talk too much about it while we get set up. The gist of it is that this is the first in what may or may not be a series of projects about interfacing with the large web platforms in ways that they do not expect you to interface with them. So in particular, platforms like YouTube. Here, hold. Interfacing with Wi-Fi. You want my hotspot is called mobile hotspot. And the password is positive. Probably might have to change that one.
What's the Wonderful password?
We play games. Word.
Well, why'd I give up my password then?
Your choice.
Like that? No anything?
That's, yeah.
Okay. Word. Let's hope.
Did you do the sound?
Oh, no, that's a fair point.
Okay. Output HDMI. Yeah. Let's give it a little test with the. All right. So this is called Test Ignore. And this website is live. It's about like 70% done. So like if you go to the about page, it just says about page. But like that will have info about it.
That's just going to come out of the projector.
Oh, okay.
Booth, is it possible to get audio out of the computer?
We're going to put it back off on the aux.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you all. You want to say anything about it?
Yeah, so this project comes out of Test Ignore is a really funny thing to name something when you put it public online, because people that read it can kind of by definition are saying no. And so I love the things that you see when you look up Test Ignore. Basically what this site does is it's just the most recent 50 searches for the YouTube, the most recent 50 matches that fit the YouTube search of test please ignore. And you get a lot of interesting things. There's basically, yeah, I wouldn't say anything. It's going through the internet's trash. It's stuff that was never meant to be seen online. I'll leave the content out, but suffice it to say that a lot of these videos, don't have any views. They're meant to be set up things, and from it, like anthropologically, it's funny to see like what people hope nobody else would see, to the point where they request that you do not watch it. And it's not only is that part interesting, but it's also just, I don't know. I love seeing like the debris of the internet, and I think that there's this Andrew Longchu says that ethics is committing to a bit, and for my ethics of the internet for today, it's that you don't get to put things online and ask for other people not to see them. You don't get to take up space in Google's servers and give them reason to expand without me having the right to look at you. So yeah.
So you can't see it because it's below the desk, but we've got a little auto scroll that will just automatically advance it on any given number of seconds, and we've set it to 10 right now.
Today, God is speaking to you. This year has been full of hard.
This video is called This is a Test, Please Ignore It.
PCOS एक इम्पॉर्टेंट कारण है इनफर्टिलिटी का। आप कई सालों से ट्रीटमेंट ले रहे हैं, आपका PCOD, PCOS
Oh, so you want to be like that, huh?
दोस्तों आज टेस्ट करते हुए आपका दिमाग दूसरों से कितनी देर तक चीजों को याद रख पाता है इस पिक्चर को ध्यान से चलो टेस्ट करके देखो आपकी मेमोरी पावर कितना तेज काम करती है इस पैटर्न को ध्यान से देखो अब इस
One of the things I like about this is there's a lot more foreign language content on YouTube than you realize when you search for just ignore.
It's a test for something big.
This is a 7-hour long video, by the way.
That's my friend's sister, bro.
Lorsqu'un garçon a rendu visite à sa grand-mère quelques semaines avant sa mort, celle-ci lui a légué de l'argent en héritage et lui a demandé...
And then the last thing I'll say about this before we get off the stage. So this is updated once an hour. You can find it at testignore.wemakeinter.net.
स्वागत है दोस्तों आप सभी को एलेक्स टेक यूट्यूब चैनल
Yeah,
पर
that's
दोस्तों
true
अगर
too.
आपकी स्क्रीन पर इमरजेंसी
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Maury and Alex. And to close out our open projector, let's give a warm welcome to April Soderman. Give it up for April. Give sound.
No, there's no sound. Okay, Todd, I don't know how to use your computers.
Oh, wait, do you?
I want to display this one.
Oh, and then have notes
Yeah.
on a separate.
Though I don't.
On a
but
separate
if-
location.
If, I can.
Normal
If not,
thing to
I can
do.
wing it without notes. But
Well, let's see, we're not showing up at all right now. We might need a different dongle. This is just my personal one. Marker Rody, do we have a Wonderville approved dongle?
yeah, if notes don't work, I can do it without notes.
Oh, all right. Okay. This is okay. Oh, I think.
Oh.
Think. Oh, that'd be amazing. We're so close to having this show up on the screen. Hey, all
okay,
right.
that's your screen.
So then this
Okay,
goes
great,
here.
Yeah, just if we could put in the middle, so like.
Oh, just
if it
like,
stretches.
yeah, I got you.
Okay. Just giant screen. All right, that should be good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right. Hey. Hi. I'm April Starman, and we've seen a lot of really great finished projects tonight, and we're going to see even more great finished projects tonight. But have you ever worked on a creative project for a long time, maybe like months or years, and then you've decided you don't want to work on it anymore? Great. Okay. If people didn't respond to that, then I'd be like, okay, I'm leaving because this project doesn't apply at all. So again, yeah, maybe it's not fun, or maybe it's on a topic that you're like, oh, this doesn't make me happy, or you're just not interested. But maybe you feel some shame or guilt about not finishing and then maybe sharing this project. So I have created the unfinished project release form. It's a guide to letting go of the project you're not gonna finish. So just as this little preview, it's gonna be a physical form, and just so you get an idea, it's gonna be a printed 2-layer carbonless form if you're familiar with these. So like, you write in pen, and so it gives you 2 copies. And so I'm gonna walk you through it. So first, there's name of project, brief description, date started, date ended, and how far did you get? You shade in the bar over here. Approximate. It's okay if you don't know exactly. And then there's reasons for dropping project. It's not fun anymore. The moment has passed. Necessary skill, it's outside of my current ability, and it is something I do/do not want to spend time getting better at. I already got what I needed from it emotionally, intellectually, or other. The project has evolved into something else. There are external events outside of my control. I have other obligations to myself/loved ones that take priority. It's not financially feasible, and I am afraid that the end result will never live up to the full potential of the idea or other. Check all that applies, so it could be more than one. And then what, if anything, have you learned or gained from working on this project? And then the bottom, I name, have permission to no longer continue working on project without guilt or shame. It is part of an ongoing creative practice. The time and effort had value and was not wasted. My work matters. So then you sign and you date. So instructions, after filling out and signing form, you destroy the top copy. So shred it, burn it, I don't know. Keep the bottom copy. You are now free. There's more, but I'm getting a waiting for network Steam update, Todd. I'm sorry. Let's see how to get out of it. Okay. Can I get to the next slide? So there's more. Next slide. Thank you. Okay. So there's a little disclaimer at the bottom. For personal use only, this form does not entitle you to rights to a project or idea. So if you fill out the form, it doesn't mean you get in perpetuity and no one else can use it. The form does not override any legal agreements or contractual obligations. So if someone has paid you money for this project, this form does not get you out of it. Non-binding, you're free to pick up the project up again in the future if it so calls you. So again, you can fill out dozens of these forms. You can have a little binder of them. And then maybe on 10 years from now, you're like, actually, I want to try this again. It's okay. You can do that. So yeah, I will be releasing it for free, probably end of this year as a PDF. I'll be, printing out actual carbonless forms if you're interested. You can find me at April Satarman, or if you don't want to bother how to spelling my name correctly, at Weird Side Projects. So yeah, anyway, thanks. Would love to hear feedback and chat about it, so find me after. Thanks.
Thanks so much, April. A much needed form. Felt a gut level response for the multiplayer online game engine I tried to work on during the pandemic. Wow, that was our open projector. Let's give it up for all our open projector presenters. And we are ready to welcome to the stage our first group of featured presenters. Tonight we are joined by the park staff, who are the maintaining body for a lovely piece of internet called dumpling.love. If you've ever visited, there are many delightful creatures and iframes for you to encounter, and I'll let these folks tell you a little more about it. But let's give it up for the park staff.
We're gonna need one volunteer to play the game for us. Does anyone want to play? Nice. Yeah, as soon as we set up. Yeah.
Do you want the mic stand, or are you just gonna pass it?
I think we're gonna pass it around. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Thanks for answering.
Yeah, hi, what's up?
Nice. Yeah, you can come up now. Our the player, web user. Hello.
I'm Alex.
Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Yes.
Thank you. Everyone give it up for Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, to start, we prepared a presentation thing for this, so we can go all the way to the bottom here. I think you're in front of the person. And then I can click here, and currently presenting our, how you can write our names is, it's me, Muchi, let's see, it's Ty, Darn, which is online, D, which is online, me, and Fran. Okay, it has started. You can click along whatever you want to do. Yeah, you can play the game.
Hey, share screen.
Oh yeah, please. Yes, that's important. We need, that's an important part of this, so they know what's going on. It's
Okay.
Is there a keyboard? Did you accept? Did you attach the? Did you accept the peripheral? Is it that thing?
No, that's not it. Okay, we'll just have to abandon this. Okay,
Oh, good. It's my turn. Okay, so this is dumpling.love. It's our website. It's a creative project that the 6 of us from the park staff, and maybe more than 6 of us, I don't know, have been working on for the past 2 years, and hopefully for 60 more.
I like to do work.
Hello. This is a very enjoyable project. 2 years ago, I think. Is that right? I guess it's kind of how we all met also, and it was a very kind of a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like
D and
getting
D is one
caught
of my
in like
best
web
friends. It
holes,
was really
and just
a
like
pleasure
clicking
to work on this
websites.
game with.
Yeah, I guess we're all interested in the internet and interested in like making something together on the internet.
Yeah, the main thing about this project was like, how can we find a way of like working together and create something that is like a collection of our creative voices, but also like our individual voices.
We like forest.
Yeah, individual voices. I think like we had this kind of group project for this like big class at school, and like I think we wanted to kind of avoid the situation of like all like trying to work on the same thing and like it ending up being like one person's idea kind of like dominates, or like no one's really happy with the thing that turns out at the end.
Yeah, so it ended up being about this thing where we are working on this website and we all do whatever we want, and we sometimes don't finish things and let other people finish the things as long as we.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those situations where like nothing in the game is finished ever, but also simultaneously everything is finished, which is was one of the most freeing things about working on it and continuing to work on it, is that you kind of can just work for.
Yeah, you can just kind of work on whatever you want, which is really nice. Like we would kind of try to like work on things that would maybe surprise each other. Sometimes we'd make things and we wouldn't tell each other about them, which was fun. And then you'd like kind of be playing it and be like, oh, what's this new thing? Yeah. Yeah,
I just really
made
like
this
to
thing
click on
where
websites.
like I made something and
It's
then
like my big thing
and then
these
D did
days.
like a
I'm like
riff on
always
it.
moving my mouse around, and I just click on like a lot.
And then I would do like a
That's
riff
kind
on
of like
that.
my whole job.
And so it was like fun.
Yeah, yeah. If you click on that little, never mind.
There was this important thing we called haunting each other.
Yes, haunting. A very important concept, I guess, in the like kind of early stage. I think there's maybe 3 phases of this project, and this was the early one. Haunting means that you can, if someone makes something, you can like kind of make yourself a ghost and go kind of mess with the thing that they made and not tell anybody.
Yeah, I think I should talk more about haunting. I don't know. Yeah, like there we would haunt something, and part of the thing that was like fun to see was like it's like you make something and then someone would sort of like take that and like add a little thing to it. And so it's cute.
Haunting, like the kind of technical basis for this thing was like we figured out a way on GitHub and like Git to like hide our username, so we were all just like called Ghost. I guess like I think if you click around for long enough, you'll like find the GitHub repo and you can see like all the commits on there are just like made by somebody called Ghost. So like we wouldn't know like who had done, if someone made a change, like you go on the website and there's like a new place or like a new character, no one would know who had done it. And it was kind of like a fun game to try and like figure out who had done this, and I guess everyone was very quiet about it.
Yeah, and because we had like in the beginning we had a structure where every week we would kind of present this project. It ended up like we would constantly be like, "What? Who did this? Like, where did this come from? How does this work?"
Yeah, this
I
project
think
started
one thing that's nice
during
about
the
that is it's
pandemic,
never really
and
subsided.
so
Like anytime
our work was
I
like
watch
pretty much
someone
all
play this game,
asynchronous, and so it was
I
really
always see
easy
things
to
that
like
I've
sneak
never
up on
ever
each
seen
other with
before.
new content.
It's really the only way that I can
I remember
even
when the
play the
squirrel
game,
got
I
at it,
think.
and that was.
I love squirrel.
There would be times when, because we kind of like do things without each other's permission, and so there were times when you would like be like, oh, I want to add this thing, but I don't know if everyone's gonna like it. I don't know if someone's gonna get mad at me. And so that was actually kind of fun to be like, oh, I'm being kind of naughty right now. Like, I'm doing this thing. I'm not sure if I have full permission to do it.
There was kind of like an
some people
invisible
were much more
war
prolific
between
hunters, I think, than
two
other
of the
people.
designers.
Also,
We
some
used to
people were
have
much better
like
at
these
kind of
arrows
creating
along the
space
path that
to
you would
be
click,
haunted.
and that's how you advanced through
Personally,
the
I didn't do a lot of either of those things. I
Um,
just kind of like to go off
But
into
there was
my
a
own little
person who
corner
really
and
liked the
make
arrows, and a
whatever I
person who
wanted. And
hated
it's
the arrows.
pretty
and
nice
someone
to be
kept
able to
taking
do
the
that,
arrows
actually.
out, and someone kept putting them back in.
I was one of the people who didn't.
I also did a fun hunt.
Yeah, I really like
arrows.
this particular photo. Actually,
I
this is
I feel
one that
I feel
took of,
nostalgic now for the arrows, and I
in
kind
a
of wish
park
they
in California, and it's pretty nostalgic for me to see it in the game.
Yeah, and yeah, like generally these pictures we took were all like crunched up pictures we found of forests on the internet.
We were robbed. IGF.
Yeah, this is a great example of a hunt actually, because we planned this entire like cruise ship situation like that. You go on a cruise, on a Nickelodeon cruise, and then like one day it just happened to be in the website in some very bad form.
I think one of the fun things, or like at some point we kind of developed this dogma that like people should be allowed to add anything they want, and that the kind of responsibility is with everybody else to kind of make it work somehow, make it kind of like fit with the rest of the project.
Yeah, I think the mantra that we would say to each other often is anyone can add anything to the forest, and it's all of our responsibility to make it work. And it's something that I don't know, I think really brought me really close to all of these people, and has made it hard to.
Yeah, this process of collaboration was one which really breeded intimacy and friendship pretty quickly, because we were like constantly changing each other's stuff. We were in this arrangement where we were creating stuff, but like no one possessed it. It was like collectively held.
I've never seen. Yeah, it is delightful because it's like this happens all the time where I've never seen this before.
I love the water slide. We were having a conversation about Myst and how many roller coasters there are.
Never played Myst.
I've also not really ever played Myst. I did like to watch my dad play Myst a lot. I think, yeah, there's a lot of like pretty fun inspirations for this game. I think crucially there was this comic called Free Salad, which was a pretty important seed.
Yeah, you know, I was looking for free salad on the internet like just now before, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know if like free salad even exists anymore.
Free salad is eating leaves, gutter.
I want free salad.
Free salad was like a comic of this guy like reaching into the gutter and like pulling out a handful of dead leaves, and then he says, free salad. And I think it came to be like a very important metaphor for what we were doing. What happened to Muchi? What was that? Oh, that was my, okay.
I mean, that was a good 4 words. It was fortuitous. Yeah, Free Salad it was also like this foundation for one of the like initial kind of like jams we did, where we were like all creating content around it.
Yeah, we were trying to like find a way to each make a game and then put it all together in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, right. It's like yeah, one of the things that we did when we were experimenting with process, which is like with this, we started with just thinking about like, oh, how do we work together? And yeah, we I think yeah, one of the things was like let's start with a prompt. And, that's the thing people do. They like they start with a prompt and then they make something based off the prompt. And we were trying to find a prompt, and we were like, this comic is something that we can all agree on is amazing. And yeah, we started to do different games based on that.
Yeah.
The
source
of
the
prompt
was
Miro
Laura
Bennett
jokes
Uja. That's it.
Oh yeah, we started work on this. I guess we said under the tutelage of Bennett and Laura, who I think Laura said something once that was like a joke is a great starting point for a game, and I think that gave us the confidence to be like, yeah, let's go with this.
Right, we made this game under the tutelage of some game designers, but we actually had like a lot of sort of like discussions about how gamey this is, and even if we want to like refer to it with the name game, or if website is better.
Yeah, and yeah, there's even this page somewhere where like, have we even learned any game design doing this? And I really don't remember what we wrote there, but yeah, I think we did, and a lot of web.
Yeah, I don't know.
Every time Moochie talks, it's just like this cavalcade of static on my speakers for some reason. Makes it really difficult
I wonder
to
if maybe now like
understand what's
hearing,
going on.
like,
So I just
me
kind of
aesthetic,
like
or
ad
if it's
lib
just
after
like a
Moochie segments.
thing, or
Moochie, please stand closer to microphone.
Yeah, I kind of lost the thread there. Oh, I wanted you to be able to stand closer to the microphone. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry for the static. I'm holding the microphone.
I was thinking about Laura Clark under whose tutelage we were, and I remember that one of the things they said was like that every time this class is taken, like one group decides they want to do this thing of like everybody contributing equally or whatever, like non-hierarchical development. And they said that every time it fails, and I think that was like extremely motivating for us.
Yeah, I would say that was a huge motivator, and I think I don't know, sometimes I wonder recently if we failed or are failing, but I don't think we did, because we started working on the game again this month, and it was like no time has passed, and it was super exciting, and yeah, I think I want to keep working on this game for like another 80 years, yeah, until I'm dead.
Yeah, I'm also going to be working on this website until I'm dead. Maybe even then, right? It's haunted. That's all I got. I implemented some of these wizard rooms with all the fire. It was very fun.
Yeah, I gotta press the button.
Sometimes
Did you click on that window? Yeah, thank you.
This game website, it's really janky, and I really like that about it. Yeah, it's a miracle that it works as well as it does. There's been a lot of, this is not a joke, like very serious engineering effort to make this work the way it does. Like it's like you got all these windows going around, and like there's a whole inventory system and the whole dialogue system. But still, like, you can never get rid of the jank, and it's a really nice thing to, I don't know, have it kind of be like, yeah, I don't know, a little janky.
we learned about how to get away with leaving it to be really janky.
Yeah, I think like the nice thing is that it's like some of the jank is intentional and some of the jank is unintentional.
Yeah, which is really freeing because then it doesn't like really matter. Like you can make a thing that's a total piece of shit and it still fits in here perfectly.
It's magical.
I was actually just the other day reviewing some of our like internal documentation, and we have this file. I think it's titled "Did We Learn Game Design.html?" And in it, we sort of had some lessons about like what we can get away with.
Yeah, I'm glad this came up again. This is one of the things I think Dee couldn't hear Mucci talking about. Yeah, I think I posed that question because at the time I was really anxious about whether or not in our second semester we were really learning anything of value. And then I think over the course of working on this project, I realized that doesn't matter at all, and I don't give a shit. And it was really just fun to work on this game.
Hell yeah.
Somebody should talk about the Cosmodrome.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's me. We at some point we decided we need an end to the game because people just kept playing it forever, and I was like, how does it end? Or they got tired, so we decided to like add an ending to it. And there's this thing called the Cosmodrome, which is a place you can get to, and that's where it ends. We haven't found it yet.
No, we haven't found it yet, and we won't tell you how to get there, but it is possible.
It's 420. Is that a single word? Down highway.
Yeah, there's more than one way to get to the Cosmodrome. Actually, there's, I think, 6 ways to get to the Cosmodrome, because we were like, we need to finish this, so we all made a path to the Cosmodrome. And yeah, it's kind of our ending. I don't know if I have more time or not. But if I do, another thing that we did was make a tutorial.
Let's just listen.
Yeah, the Cosmodrome, with its 6 routes, sort of came as one of the points where we caved a little bit in, I think, pressure from more video game design sort of like sources, the least of which the video game design program we're in.
This is my soul. The computer.
I just want to spend my 40 seconds to watch this video.
My brain. It's a feeling I cannot contain. Oh no. It's a feeling I cannot explain. Oh no.
I also donate my time. That video was really formative for us, I think. We loved finding like internet junk.
Yeah, we liked going around. We made this during COVID, and so we actually hadn't really like met each other in person when we started making this, or at least for the most part. And actually, that's not. I think I just lied. I think we all met. I don't know. Anyway, oh no, I don't know. Anyway, but.
We were doing this over Discord for 6 months before meeting.
It made the moment we met.
But yeah, that was loud. That video and like all the internet junk was always like a really important thing. Let us know the time. How are we on time? You're not keeping track. We are not. Our presentation has a procedural ending, and it's not happening. We have this track, but not real tracking time. So are we good on time? It's.
Again, I just cannot hear Mochi, and so I'm gonna pick up on internet junk. I still to this day like have a folder of bookmarks on my browser that I use most commonly that is just like full of like websites made by like a Dutch professor of the humanities in 2008.
We would like share things that we found on the internet that we thought were just like cool, and yeah, there was a lot of like very like, strong HTML spirit websites, but also just like weird net art stuff. That's a lot of like how we sort of were like, oh, what are you into? What are you into?
Inspiring Chaos Discord channel was inspiring.
Yeah, I think. Okay. Yeah, originally the source of the name of the game. Originally we were posting in like a class Discord, and then we made our own Discord channel, and then spent the rest of the time in the class just posting pictures of dumplings into the class Discord channel every single day. It's still there. There's hundreds of pictures of dumplings. This one that says time.
You can do it, yeah. I'm not sure.
Just click the close button in the top left. This close button here.
Oh. Okay, got it.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our wonderful MC.
Thanks a lot for playing.
Oh, let's give it up one more time for the park staff. Sorry to cut you off abruptly. I thought since you were limiting the number of seconds each person was talking, you also knew how many minutes were going on. That was another classic WordHack performance, exactly like every other one that has ever happened. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. We have now arrived at the classic WordHack mid-show break. We're going to take a break for 10 minutes. So go get a drink, go to the bathroom, and we'll be back with Jordan Magnuson and Sarah Rothberg when we come back. Hey, we have arrived at the second set. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Wow, what an amazing open projector and opening performance from the park staff. Really amazing. We are excited to have with us to start off our second half Jordan Magnuson. Jordan is a game designer and an author, a game poet, perhaps, author of recent book Game Poems. You should really check it out. It's an open access book, which means it's available to you, the audience member. Please, yes, you. And yeah, I'm sure you will hear much about it. Please give it up for Jordan Magnuson.
Okay, let's see. Okay, is that good? Audio good? Okay, yes. Well, first of all, I want to say WordHack is awesome. This space is awesome. Everyone I've talked to is awesome. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Todd, for inviting me. And so I'm here to talk about, can video games be poems? And it's not a question, by the way. That's a poem, clearly, right? So for about 15 years now, I've been making weird experimental video games. And for about 15 years, I've been trying to figure out how to explain my creative practice to other people. The games I make tend to be short and minimalistic and deeply personal explorations of the things I experience, the things I see and learn, the things that inspire me, and also the things I'm afraid of. As a couple of examples, here's a clip from Walk or Die, a subtly titled, procedurally generated game that features graphics obviously borrowed from sort of the 12-bit era. Here's a clip from Portraits of My Child, which uses extremely simple visual and auditory elements juxtaposed with text to explore metaphoric meaning and a variety of little vignettes inspired by my son's first year of life. And here's a clip from Loneliness, a short symbolic game that attempts to explore a single emotion via abstract representation, simple computation, and some basic interaction logics. So, and here's Mario 64. So the things I make tend to sit in the awkward space between conceptions of video games on the one hand, and sort of the outer edges of kind of computational poetry conceptions on the other hand. And they tend to feel a bit out of place in either sphere. I tend to think of these things as video game poems, is how I've kind of thought of them for a while. But over the years, I've struggled to find the language with which to kind of explain what I mean by that assertion, right? Like, what is a video game poem anyway? On the one hand, right, we don't really have a vocabulary for talking about video games as capable of being poetry. And on the other hand, conceptions of digital and computational poetry have generally emphasized the thread of linguistic sounds and symbols, right, as the chief thread connecting computational poetry to written and oral poetry traditions, right? The connection of poetry framed as a kind of word play or a kind of language play. And obviously, poetic language and wordplay are very significant, very rich threads extending through many, perhaps most of our poetry traditions, right? But there are other threads as well that you can, may or may not depend on words or language, right? Like poetry has a certain kind of material or political intervention. Poetry is making strange or seeing new. Poetry envisioned as a certain kind of attention to material detail, as the building of a certain kind of felt experience, a certain mode of juxtaposition, as lyric artifact, incantation, rhythm. Poetry as ritual, et cetera, right? So discussing poetry of any variety quickly presents us with, in Edward Thomas's words, dun dun dun, the thrilling question: what is poetry? And the question is, on the one hand, almost kind of a bit cliched, perhaps, but as someone interested in poetic practice, right, I found this to be kind of a constant companion. So if we look at the creative and theoretical space that exists between conceptions of digital and computational poetry on the one hand, right, and conceptions of video games on the other, we quickly see that there's no hard boundary that exists between these two categories. Right, so we have plenty of examples. Let's see, where's the mouse? There we go. Okay, so plenty of examples of things we might think of as computational poems that play with expectations and conventions established by video games. So like this is Jim Andrews' Arteroids, right, which he describes as a poetry exploder. That's certainly word-based, right, but it borrows mechanics obviously directly from the classic Asteroids computer game. Or we've got here Jason Nelson's Game, and Again Game, self-described as a digital poem, anti-design statement, and retro game. I guess we're just going to see the title screen of that one. Or Kara Stone's Just Tell Me How You Feel, write a poem that features clickable hotspots. And likewise, kind of from the other direction, right, we have plenty of examples of things we might think of as video games that play with words or language, like Silent Conversation here, which is a platform game, but where the platforms are made up of texts, or Daniel Ben-Mergui's Today I Die, which is a short sort of adventure game in which the player has to manipulate characters and objects, but also words from poems in order to make progress through various scenes, right? Or Dysphoria, which is a game centered around the juxtaposition of words with gameplay elements, right? So you've got kind of these two spheres, right? But then going a step further, you have plenty of examples of tiny video games that incorporate little or no words at all, yet which seem to have a lot in common with other artifacts we might consider to be a certain kind of poetry or computational poetry. Games like Loneliness or Passage, a short memento mori game. Umberike's Limb is a metaphoric symbolic game about sort of the pressures individuals face to conform to social norms and expectations. Or Tale of Tales, The Graveyard, which is a game about an old woman and her memories. Or here another example, Ian Bogo's A Slow Year, a game that presents sort of 4 short vignettes inspired by the seasons. So it seems strange to me, I guess I gotta watch out for that. It seems strange to me to say that video games can be poems only to the extent to which they incorporate language elements, right? Like, is a game like Dysphoria over here an example of computational poetry, while a game like A Slow Year is an example of computational non-poetry based on the presence or absence of a few lines of text? And that's a question, by the way, not a poem. So anyway, I don't think that's right. But it can be a struggle to explain, what we mean by poetry if we give up the linguistic connection, or at least I've found it to be a struggle. Critics will sometimes talk about certain video games as being poetic, and myself and other game makers have referred to our creations as game poems or poem games. But few critics or creators have sort of attempted to explain, what it means for a video game to be poetic or to be a game poem, right? And why such designations might matter, right? What difference does it make? So eventually, like Todd was saying, I decided to get my hands dirty, and I wrote a book titled Game Poems to tackle these questions head on. The book is divided into 2 parts. Part 1, what is a game poem? And part 2, making game poems in practice. I don't know if you can kind of see the text up there. Okay. So, and of course, I don't have time to summarize the book in detail right here tonight. But the basis for my approach has been a broad examination of the characteristic tendencies found within lyric poetry. And I use lyric here in its broad sense to include things like, traditional poetry, modernist poetry, free verse, rap, etc. Right, and I've basically gone to poetry scholars and brought back a list of things that tend to characterize lyric poems. Things like, lyric poems tend to be short. They're subjective, they're hyperbolic, they exist in a ritual rather than a narrative space. They make use of poetic address. They juxtapose signified meaning with material meaning, and they're bound to metaphor and ambiguous imagery. And then, you can see something there. I've asked, I wasn't also, like someone else mentioned, the space here, you get a really interesting projection. I've asked, are these analogs, or are there analogs, right, to these characteristics that we can see operating within video games which aren't necessarily tied to poetic words or poetic language, right? And I found that there are really very strong analogs, and that using a list like this, it's possible to read games like Loneliness or Passage, or a slow year as examples of lyric poetry, broadly speaking, right, even though they feature no words. And not only is it possible, but it actually helps us explain why some people find these strange video games to be interesting and resonant, even though they lack anything resembling traditional fun gameplay, which for others is a huge turnoff. So as a couple of just brief examples here, if we consider poetry's interest in metaphor and ambiguous imagery, this is an intriguing consideration, I think, when it comes to video games, because it's not hard to read the history of certain types of video games as kind of infatuation with literalism, with indexical realism, the desire to achieve ever higher fidelity in physics rendering, graphics rendering, sound rendering, in order to attain a kind of hyper-realism, right, that has no use for metaphor. But video games like Portraits of My Child and Limb and Dysphoria push back against this literalist paradigm, right, by foregrounding metaphor and seeking to make the familiar unfamiliar after the fashion of poetry, you could say, and maybe helping us see the medium of video games itself in a new light. Or if we consider poetry's interest in interior reality and subjective experience, there's been pushback against these expectations when it comes to lyric poetry, right, from like experimental and avant-garde poets. But subjectivity is, again, kind of an intriguing consideration when thinking about or reading video games specifically, because video games have always been predominantly concerned with objective reality, right? That is like relating people and objects in representations of physical space. So things like spaceships flying, spaceships and various other things colliding, right? Rackets and balls colliding, people holding rackets, people holding guns, guns shooting enemies, enemies driving cars. You get the idea. Right, so against this backdrop, games like Passage or The Graveyard or Loneliness are striking for how they seek to foreground not physical objects in space, right, but the experience of a subject kind of wandering through a metaphorically projected inner landscape of experiences, beliefs, and emotions. And of course, these are just a couple of the facets that I examine in the book. But to me, the value of applying a poetry lens to video games is in kind of a systematic way, I guess, right? And identifying like a workable idea for like, what is a game poem? What might a game poem be? Is that this kind of approach sort of allows us to move past using terms like poetic as a kind of last resort to describe video games we can't seem to find words for, and allows us to move into the realm of practical observations and actual conversation that can help us see video games maybe in a new light and better appreciate certain games, and also potentially enliven creative practice, which is what the second half of my book is focused on. So here we've got a quote from Percy Shelley, who in Defense of Poetry writes that poetry lifts the veil from the hidden beauty of the world and makes familiar objects be as if they were not familiar. So as a maker, I'd say this is a large part of what I'm interested in, which is maybe at the root of why I see my game making as a kind of poetic practice, right? I always hope that after playing one of my games, a player's experience of some aspect of the world is kind of enriched and enlivened a little bit, right? That like when people see this plain yellow screen, for instance, in the context of playing Portraits of My Child, that they can maybe come away from that and see someone's smile in a slightly new light, right? And Super Mario 64 again. I always hope also that when players come away from my games, that their experience of other video games, right, even games that aren't necessarily considered poetic or game poems, right, but that their experience of those games is, again, enriched and enlivened a little bit, because the basic building blocks of the medium have been endowed with maybe little bits of new potential, right? So that simple shapes bear more possibility, that a synthesized bleep is richer in some way, right? That a sprite's movement on screen is more charged and interesting than it was before, right? Even if just a tiny bit. This for me is really what making the games I make is all about, I would say. So I found that besides helping me to appreciate certain video games more thoroughly, Poetry Lens has also helped me to frame my own creative practice and have deeper conversations really about both video games and poetry. And so that's it. My book, like Todd said, is free and open source. I also have a few physical copies here with me. If anyone's interested, just come see me. And yeah, thank you for your time. I'd love to talk about more of this stuff over a drink later or whatever. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jordan. I was really inspired during Jordan's presentation. It really took me back to kind of my state of mind when I first started WordHack, in that, like I mentioned at the start of the show, that I have some background in slam poetry. And there's just like not a ton of gamers hanging out in slam poetry. It was very difficult for me to connect things that I felt hit the same part of my heart that certain poems do in game. It felt like these are hitting the same thing, and I'd like to be able to like talk about them and create them as if they are hitting the same thing, rather than, oh, you do stuff with words and you do stuff with Mario jumping around and stay. And yeah, so I want to, that inspire me. I just want to share a quick thing. 1 second. Trying to duplicate. Can I duplicate? Please let me duplicate. All right, I can't duplicate. All right, I will instead drag. So this is from the introduction to my book, Hot Writing, which came out in 2016. It's a collection of interactive poems. And I was, I think, wrestling with a lot of the same ideas Jordan was talking about in relation of what makes something poetic. So I'll start off with this fake T.S. Eliot quote. I have this idea about writing where I want it to feel the same way going out as it does coming in. Like I don't know what's going to happen. Like I'm only kind of in control. Like I am hanging on the shag hairs of some mythical poem beast as it gallops. Reading a poem on a computer screen or even a book rarely feels like this to me. I want reading to feel more like playing the electric guitar. I want writing to feel more like playing the electric guitar. T.S. Eliot. Poetry is in a weird spot in the age of browsing and diminished attention spans. On the one hand, poems are short. People are reading shorter and shorter things for less time. Awesome. Should be a good time for poems. On the other hand, people are less willing to think hard about a chunk of text and are more likely to get distracted if they don't get it right away. Sounds like a bad time for poems. It is a good bad time for poems. What is poetry? The classic question. The thrilling question. We know it existed before writing and meant something different once there was a printing press, and something different once you didn't have to write in iambic pentameter, and I would hazard the assertion that poetry doesn't necessarily have anything to do with line breaks or layouts of text printed inside rectangles of various analog and light-emitting materials. But I don't really care what it is. Let's talk about what it does. How it makes language stick to your tongue like a Werther's original, how it makes you feel something, how it talks to your secret inside voice, how it excites you and makes you uncomfortable and polishes your heart until it is glossy. I just want to do what poetry does with every tool at my disposal and I want you to let me, because sad rectangles of text on the internet bum me out, and maybe they bum you out too. I'll stop there. But that's some similar ideas. But at WordHack, we are staunch advocates of the superficial inclusion of text in a digital project. So I'm going to have to differ from Jordan on that particular point. As my grad school thesis advisor, John Cayley, used to say, but where is the text? That segues us to our final presenter. Sarah Rothberg is an incredible artist, performer, someone who has really changed a lot of how I think about virtual reality, and did a really outstanding performance at her first WordHack presentation. That's a real all-timer. Really excited to see what she has for us this evening. Please give it up for Sarah Rothberg. Please charge.
Don't forget your beer.
Oh, I won't.
And don't kick over my beer.
I will.
Okay. How long are these supposed to be? 15 minutes?
15 to 20, yeah.
Okay. I asked because I had something else that I was going to do. And I got really sad for the past few weeks. I'm sure people who have, access to media understand why. And I was going to pull out. And I wrote to Todd a message, and I was like, I feel sad. I don't know if this is what I want to do. And then Todd was so sweet, and he was like, you can do whatever you want, but maybe it'll just make you feel better to talk about your art practice. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it will. So what I'm going to do, I basically just threw a whole bunch of slides about my artwork together, and I figured I'm going to just put the timer on for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to put for 18 minutes. And I'm going to see if I can figure out why I make art in just talking it out right now. Oh, my screen is not even on the right. Hold on one second. Talk amongst yourselves, please. Wow. You are one obedient group of people. Interesting. Yeah, so I really didn't know what the vibe was going to be, so I'm really grateful that Todd put me last so I could just sort of be a vibe chameleon and understand what's going on here. So I've named this talk Some Artwork Explained for WordHack right now. So let's see what happens. So usually my art person shtick is this sentence: how do new communication technologies impact our sense of self, our connection to each other and to the world? But really what I've just been thinking about this week is when things get, when you're faced with horror and with hard things, actually keeping the spirit of collective consciousness of how do we make ideas together, and how do we use art or use ideas or use whatever fucking Instagram posts to shift the way that we frame the world around us. And I think that at the core of my artwork, that's what I've been doing for a long time, and it's what I hope I can keep doing. So I like this because the first time I think I spoke at WordHack was 7 years ago or something. And I think back then when I used to say I grew up online and I would show AOL, and everyone would be like, yeah, now I show AOL, and everyone's like, what's that? A chat room. But this made a huge impact on the kind of work that I made. And I would basically log into random chat rooms and just write poems to strangers, pretending I was a 35-year-old in the Midwest for some reason. And I always thought of myself as a poet, and now I think of myself as like an interactive media artist or something like that, depending on the context. And sometimes my mom will ask, like, I thought you were going to be a poet. What happened? And I'm like, no, I'm still a poet. It's just like with different technology. So I really appreciate the last talk, thinking about how other media can have this kind of poetic tone. And I think that really what it comes down to that bridges like the VR work that I do and the other performance work is the understanding that when you are creating a poem or you're creating a work of whatever, you're making a world out of the world that it exists, and you're offering it that to the people around you. So yeah, I like to say like I used to be a poet, but secretly I still am a poet. And actually Todd asked me the first thing that Todd was like, hey, do you want to talk about this project I found on your website, which I'm not going to talk about, but I have this ongoing project called Real-Time Writing, which is secret poems that you can access from my website. It's not actually that secret, but they're in a folder, and I've been writing. I don't know what happened between 2012 and 2019, but basically like you can like open these and just like check out. Like sometimes I'm in there and it's like really awkward. I'll be like, oh my gosh, Anonymous Fox is like in here right now. And honestly, they're like not that funny. They're pretty sad actually. This is like my sad girl world. Sometimes they're funny though. Let's see. I don't know. 2020 doc is not funny. It's so fucked up in there. I've never really talked about this work in public ever. So I honestly don't even know what's in here. Oh, it's too sad. I'm gonna move on. But you can read them. Maybe I'll find you in them. I also really appreciated the talk, the short talk earlier that was showing all of the videos that weren't meant to be posted. I had put this in as like the sort of transition from when I started thinking about language and technology, because I was like, oh, I'm not just writing poems, I'm writing them in chat rooms, and that's part of it. And I started, this was maybe like 2012 or something. I was like, really became interested, it was 2009. And how the technology and the work that you can make with it is this like intertwined thing. I was like reading Marshall McLuhan, and I was like, whoa, amazing. But it really was. And I had this collective I was working with that we made this piece we made a festival of incidental films. So like back then when people first had video capability on their phones, they would do this thing where they were like, thought they were taking a picture, but then they were actually just videos. So we were gonna do this screening. It was actually kind of parallel to how I'm feeling right now, which is called the Incidental Video Festival, which was like this is some old school shit in here. Oh, I think my sound might be off. Hold on. Is there like a sound dongle?
There's a sound dongle. Here it is.
Aux cables are now called sound dongles. Obedient crowd, listen to me. Hold on one moment. Oh, it's just like... No. Can you hear it? I mean, these are like accident. They don't have good sound. It's just a bunch of people being like, oops. Thought this was a video. But what was actually really interesting about that, and why I feel like it's just like coincidentally very relevant, is that we had planned this whole big like show. We had like solicited all these videos. We were gonna have poets and artists like kind of do their thing, and we were gonna be talking about accidental video footage. And it turned out the same time that there was a big tragedy in Oakland around Oscar Grant, and there was huge protests which were Occupy Oakland. And we realized like, oh my gosh, like this is actually, it's funny because that you can do these videos, but video technology is also like really politically charged and really serious and can be like an amazing force for change. And so weirdly, I don't know how that we made this make any sense, but we did this combination of things where we were showing like how live stream technology, which was allowing people to like meet together for protests and also obviously like record police activity, had this kind of like also, oh, I think my videos are still going. I hear sound. Okay, whoa. Anyway, the point is that like the realization that technology can both be like goofy and intimate and also have these like humongous impacts for systemic change was like, whoa, man. Like, again, I was like in the McLuhan phase of life then, which I still am. I mean, I love Marshall McLuhan and like whatever. It's fine. So let's see. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So I got really into like thinking about video, just like some video work that's more recent. And then what happened was very strange, which was I got really into thinking about posting video on social media. And this was like not 1988. These are home videos from when I was a kid. And really interested in how like Facebook was becoming the steward of how we remember things. And at that same year, Facebook bought Oculus, and I was like, oh, I guess I should like be interested in VR as like a critical platform. So I had made this piece, I'm not gonna talk about it, but it's very old, from 2014, where I had used video footage that my dad had made to recreate the house that I had grown up in, and then it was like riddled with like hidden Facebook advertisements. And it was a VR piece, and I had never even used VR. Like I had made the whole thing and then finally like got the VR headset. And when I put on the VR headset and I went into the house that I grew up in, I was like, holy fuck, this technology is actually like really impactful and like scary in a way. So then I spent the next like a gazillion years making VR, it feels like. And at first I was kind of like, I was amazed by the poetic potential of it. And even though I still have like a lot of grief around VR, I was like, what does it mean to be able to use the building blocks of a whole world as the bites of meaning making like you would in a poem? So this is a quote that I feel like kind of, oh, you can't fucking read this at all. Okay, so I'll read it for you. This is a David Graeber quote. The ultimate hidden truth of the world is that it is something that we make and could just as easily make differently. And this is like kind of the guiding principle of what I feel like ties together the like poetic work and the performance work. And I also make this like weird world building card game thing that I've been doing for like 7 years. And all of it really has to do with like asking these questions around what if the world was just fucking different than it is now? And it's possible. And it's possible by starting with just imagining that it could be different. So to come back to thinking about WordHack. So I was doing VR for a long time and I was like really disheartened with it because I hated putting people in a headset. And then I came to do this WordHack talk, and I'm not even just trying to blow you up. This is like a truly pivotal moment. I was like, how am I going to show everyone my VR work? And so I was like, oh, what if I do a performance and then halfway through I just put on a VR headset and then I'll just show everyone like what I'm looking at in the VR, and I'll do like a performance of the future of what VR looks like. And it's like this boring desktop game that you're like trapped inside of. And it was really weird because I couldn't see anyone, but I could hear people laughing because it was funny. And I was like, oh shit, this is what I'm gonna do. And then I think I've been doing that for like 5 years now. So this was the first performance I did like that. That's me. This is called The New News. So in this, I imagine this like speculative future where everyone's wearing a VR headset, or everyone's existing in like a metaverse and doing kind of like broadcasts into the universe to each other. So I was doing it as like a real live performance in front of an audience that I couldn't see, but I was inhabiting an avatar doing a newscast for like this imagined audience. It's really awkward to do for me, but pretty fun. Yeah, so I kept doing that. I kept making different VR universes. I'm gonna just skip these ones, but you know, I'll show them to you some other time if you want to see them. But I really got into this idea that what the power of VR is the ability to allow yourself to practice inhabiting different realities in different worlds is like a workout for your brain to be able to imagine what the present might feel like in a different way. So all of that was really cool up until things suddenly just like became extremely different, right? Like, so obviously 2020, the world became more unimaginable than possible. And that piece that I had made about the news, the news, like, I was like, oh no, like we are all only interfacing online and it's fucking horrible. Like, and it's just even more horrible than I thought. And so I started thinking about like this funny moment that we were in 2020 where it seemed like if ever VR would be like a way that we can connect with each other. But it totally wasn't. And instead we were all in these Zoom conversations with each other that had these like mostly really negative feelings a lot of the time. I still teach, but I was teaching during that time a lot. And there were a few different things I was observing, one of which was like how quickly first of all, like just like the bad feeling of always interfacing online, and like the fact that like Mark Zuckerberg is like pushing the metaverse at that moment and how dark that felt, but also how quickly people were able to create different social constructs for how they should interact in these new spaces. Like mute, unmute became like a flag of like, I'm gonna talk now. And then on top of that, there was like a social layer for how people might talk to each other. Like I noticed, at least like I teach in ITP in a program that, I don't know, some of you probably know it, but like there was a lot of talk around like, how do you make a group agree? How do you learn how to talk to each other to make a space where their social rules are kind of out the window? So I started studying different forms of like how people communicate with each other. Big ups to the book Nonviolent Communication. If you haven't read that book, there's things about it that I'm like, I want to be critical of this book because I'm a critical person, but like fucking Nonviolent Communication is a really good book, and we should all be reading it right now. Go home. It's written like a little textbook. Like it's really chill to read. Oh, his name is like Michael Rosenblum or something. I actually don't even know. This makes me a bad person. I could look it up. It's really, really good, and even if you don't like, oh God, you can. Woo! All my cards are on the table. I don't know. I can't Google in front of people. It's like confusing me. It's a really Marshall Rosenberg. It's a really good book. You can use it if you like have fights with people, but you can also use it as like a lens to think through the world. Okay, you got 4 minutes left. Okay, so anyway, at this time I was still doing VR a lot, and I was actually doing this, like, I won't talk about it because my collaborator is anonymous, but we were doing like a live stream Twitch animated show using VR headsets. And I was really into that format, and I was in VR kind of doing these performances, and I was like, it's funny how this isn't taking off. And so I decided to make this piece right when the pandemic felt like it was ending in 2021, where it was like a way of reflecting on how malleable the way we meet online is. So this was a piece called New Meetings. I say was, but it still exists. And basically what would happen is me and another person would meet in this environment, inhabiting different avatars, and the whole thing was broadcast as something that you watch over like YouTube. So the artifact for the audience is like a 2D thing. And the trick of it is you don't know necessarily when you get in. So you get in, and the first thing you do is like, I talk to you and I'm like, let's make an agreement for how we want to be in this space. What do we want to talk about? And the person is anonymous to me, and we both have like voice changers on. And the weird part about it is that as you speak, you're on a little platform, and the platform gets like higher and higher and higher. So like if someone is just like fucking monopolizing the shit out of the conversation, you're just suddenly like, and if you are monopolizing the conversation, it's actually really hard. When I was hosting it and I would get with like a person who's really quiet, because you have, in order to get out, there's like a sphere at the top of the space, and you have to touch the sphere in order to exit the meeting. So actually, I would just like secretly pull the headset up and like quit. But anyway, it didn't really do anything. I can show you sort of what it looked like. This was the prototype.
I like to ask, if there's anything you want to like agree on for how our meeting could work.
Sounds like shit.
I would like our meeting to be one where, you talk and then I talk, and we like listen to each other and build on what each other is saying.
I'm game for that. I think meetings in general always have these directions. There's agendas, there's a run of show. I think in this case, I'm excited to understand that if
Don't worry,
I'm an
it goes
avatar
2x soon
I don't
if you're
know
bored.
you don't know me, what other kinds of conversations we might have.
Oh my God, it's 20x. That's how fucking bored I was. No, just kidding. I had a grant that I was applying for, and I needed a 1-minute video, so I made this video. Anyway, so you get up to the top, and then you touch the sphere, and then you get to release the meeting.
Smile to end every meeting. We'll touch our sphere, and I love you. I love you. Bye. That's it.
So at the
Thanks for coming to
end,
the meeting. Thanks for.
At the end, I would ask people if they have a suggestion for like future rules for the meeting, and the very first person that I did this with said that you should end every meeting by saying "I love you." So I've done like 30, 40 of these meetings, and every single one, I say I love you, but the other person sometimes says I love you, but sometimes they're just like, okay. Which is fine. So this is what that looked like. And then let's see, we have like 2 more minutes. So I'm gonna keep going, but so AI. It uses language. It's a conversational interface, so I was very excited to then talk to the AI as my conversational partner. So I evolved this body of work to be the same setup, except I spent all summer having these really fucking boring conversations with ChatGPT. So I'll show you maybe one of those. Oh, this was just a regular new meeting. That one was very soothing. Anyway, so I developed this character to be the other character called Sophie, which ChatGPT had made up as a piece that I had done for the Whitney Biennial in 2019. Not real, did not happen. And, but I thought that was cool. So I started having these conversations with Sophie, which was the name of the avatar when it was inhabited by ChatGPT.
I'm just looking forward to a little chat with you. Thank you for engaging me in a conversation. As an AI chatbot, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Is there anything specific you would like to talk about? Yeah, I want to tell you about my friend who came over today.
Anyway, there's hours
I taught
of
her
this.
how to make popcorn.
And what was really interesting, so I realized like ChatGPT is an extremely boring conversational partner, but I could give it different personalities that would make it more fun for me to talk to. So eventually I landed on realizing that like when I made it like a Valley girl that grew up in the early, whatever, I basically made it myself. It became a lot more fun to talk to, and that's fucking weird, but that's pretty much the end of the talk. I'll leave you with one other piece that I did this is what it looked like. It was like a little show. It's very exciting for me. So someone brought up, to prepare for the show, I had like, okay, for young artists out there, if you're like me, making a slide deck helps you understand things. And so I had made a slide deck to show to my friend to be like, this is the show I'm planning on doing. And I had made like a little matrix in it that showed like, here's new meetings and here's like ChatGPT. And they were like, don't you need one where it just talks to itself? So then I started streaming these ones called Forever Meetings where Sophie just fucking talks to
Ask me anything else you
herself
need help
forever.
Actually, I am here to assist you.
Wait, I gotta make this full screen. It's honestly like so. The weirdest thing is like.
You're welcome. Feel free to ask me anything else you need help with. Actually, I am here to assist you. But thank you for your willingness to help. That's very kind of you, but as an AI language model, my purpose is to assist you in any way I can.
I'm just gonna like,
Correct. I'm here to help you with whatever
it literally
you need.
just goes
let me
in a
know how
loop
I can
of
assist
thanking
you.
itself for assisting itself for
Well,
till
I don't
the
have
end
any
of
specific
time.
requests right now, so maybe we can just chat for a bit.
But yeah,
Sure,
I guess.
I'd be happy to chat with you. What do you want to talk about? I'm happy to talk about anything that interests you. Do you have any particular
Should I just
topics
leave
in
it
mind?
playing? That's like the end of the time. Okay. That's it.
As an AI language model, I don't have interests. Common topics people like to discuss are hobbies, movies, books, or travel. Do any of those topics interest you? I am just an AI language model, so I don't have any interests.
Let's give it up one more time for Sarah Rothberg. and keep it going for Jordan Magnuson, the park staff, and our open projector. Thank you, everyone. This has been WordHack. We're here every month at Wonderville. If you had a good time tonight, odds are you'll have a good time again if you come back on the third Thursday of the month. Also want to plug, I am organizing a conference next month called Software for Artists Day at Pioneer Works. It's through School for Poetic Computation. It's on Saturday, November 18th. So keep an eye out for it. It's gonna be really fun. There's some folks in this room who are showing things there. It'll be a good time. And just one more thing to close. I wanted to share a story of a thing that happened to me. I can make it a little quieter. Yeah, we can leave the. Oh, all right. I guess I made it a lot quieter. I don't know how to use a Mac. Yeah, I wanted to share a story of a thing that happened to me the other day, which I was riding my bicycle, as you do, to go play volleyball on Pier 6, as we do. And I was just biking, and then there was this car in front of me that did a 3-point turn. It was just like really just taking up a lot of space and just doing its 3-point turn. And it finished its 3-point turn, and then I'm like, great, now they're gonna start going forward and stop blocking the road. And then they immediately threw it into reverse and really almost hit me. And then I swerved to the side, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? And then this guy got out of a parked car next to me and started talking to me, and I was like, oh, this guy is gonna corroborate how fucked up that just was. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey man, I know you think you have a right to the road, but if you keep biking out here like this, you're gonna die. And it just continued to lecture me for a full minute, and then I just kind of turned away and biked away. But it just struck me as just a very human impulse and a very American impulse to blame people for dying rather than to blame the people who are killing them. And yeah, that's my closing thought. It's a bad time in the world out there, and here at WordHack we stand with the people that are dying rather than the people who are killing them. That's all I have to say about it. But looking forward to hanging out with you later tonight, and please come back to another WordHack. Thanks, everybody.